Yo, yo.
I was just reminded about our hip hop intro. That we start with a hip hop intro.
What, you
I've
were
been
just
listening to
reminded of
nothing
it?
but, yeah. Like, my brain has been entirely consumed by hip hop for the last 5 days. That's all
Oh,
that has
why?
existed in the world.
Why? Oh, because of the beef.
Yeah.
Right, which I have studiously ignored. I just want to tell you, you're going to lead the show
Okay.
for the first segment here. But before we do that,
Yeah.
notice how we have segments now. Pretty cool. Very professional. No, we got an announcement. Do you have the thing available?
Oh, fascism?
Yeah, man.
Fascism. Well, first of all, I've got a banner, much like our Black Crime banner. We've got unregistered.com/fascism.
I think it's
which
nice.
is where you go.
It goes well. We got a course. Can you show it? Can you show the?
Yeah, I can share the screen real quick in a sec.
So it's pretty exciting because we have two awesome guest instructors with me on this course. John Foote, who's the leading scholar of Italian fascism. He's at the University of Bristol. And David Beto, who is professor of history, has a new book about the authoritarian elements of the New Deal. And it's going to be a 3-part course in which we examine the history of fascism in Italy, Germany, and yes, the United States of America. So this starts next Thursday, a week from right now. Oh, wait. No, that's all right. This is fine. I just remembered that class is in the morning, and then the second two are in the evening. So It's all good. Yeah, this is going to be pretty awesome. Lots of people have asked about this. I've been wanting to teach this for a long time. It's obviously pretty necessary these days. Well, it's always been necessary since that is, as I say right here in the course description, it's the leading epithet against one's political opponents. It's what, I mean, even I've used it many times, pretty imprecisely, when I get mad at somebody. So it's time to actually look at it. And so we're going to spend quite a bit of time looking at the original Italian fascists' documents, what those guys actually said this thing is. And its origins are actually in the Catholic Church, but that'll be the very beginning of the course. But John Foote, who is, as I said, the leading scholar of modern Italian politics, will be leading that session. So yeah, it's going to be pretty amazing. If you're familiar with my argument in Renegade History about the New Deal being a sibling of German fascism and Italian fascism, you will have a sense of where this is headed. But David Beto has this brand new book, which adds a lot of stuff I did not know about when I wrote my book about FDR's attacks on civil rights. The Bill of Rights was pretty much crushed by the New Deal throughout the Roosevelt administration. So that's not in itself fascism, but it was a very major part of it, certainly. So we are going to spend 3 weeks on this crucial topic. I mean, imagine knowing what fascism actually means. Because who do we know?
That's what we're selling you. We're selling you the answers. You will know after this course.
You will. Well, at least you'll be educated on it.
Yeah.
Unlike, I mean, I don't even know who is there who really knows this. There's about half a dozen actual scholars of fascism, maybe 10 in the world. They do. I mean, at least I would sort of defer to them. But everyone else who uses the term clearly doesn't know. Hasn't read the original fascist intellectuals, hasn't written the Rerum Novarum, the papal encyclical in the 1880s that was the roots of fascist ideology. No, you haven't read Mussolini's speeches. Haven't even read Hitler's speeches. So we will in this amazing course at Unregistered Academy. Check it out. All right, now, other thing I wanted to say, yes.
Oh, real quick on that course, David Beto, the great David Beto from our JFK course.
He really is. I've said this many times. I mean, if he had different politics, he'd be considered one of the greatest American historians. I mean that. But yes, sorry, go ahead.
Oh yeah, just from our JFK course. He was in our JFK course. He makes.
Oh yeah.
Right. Yeah. Was he on anything else with the Academy? Maybe New Deal. No.
This is the first real course with him. He was a guest. Yeah, he was a guest lecturer in the FDR in the JFK assassination course. It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, this will be awesome. But everyone should check out David Beto's other work, which is staggeringly important and good, and it totally ignored. Totally ignored. I didn't know it existed. He and I are colleagues, right? We were trained same time, same age, PhDs in U.S. history. We're both professors of U.S. history at the same time, publishing at the same time, and it just never came up. Like his work, it's amazing how they squelch certain ideologies, but they certainly do. So the other thing I wanted to say, and this is about someone with a very different set of ideologies or ideology. My friend Shirin from college, who's a professor at the University of Houston, corrected me, and I just want to make this correction about Ilhan Omar. I said, I think 2 weeks ago, that she had voted for aid to Israel in some way. I double checked that Shirin said I was wrong. I think Shirin is correct. I think Ilhan Omar never has actually voted for anything for Israel, including the Iron Dome. She may have voted not present once, but I just wanted to correct that.
Okay.
And thank you for our attentive listeners. And then I had to go. You made me so jealous. I had to ask to go on the Vacuous Vocation podcast, and so I did. I begged Matt to let me on his show, and he did. He let me on. He interviewed me, and we had a great time. And everyone should go check out Vacuous Vocation on YouTube. I guess it's also audio podcast. And I go off on a lot of stuff in that. I get a little wild at times because Matt kept egging me on. It's pretty fun. It's a great time. About an hour and a half. I say a lot of stuff about people that I've never said before in public, in fact. It's a little dangerous. We'll see. Including people who've been on my show. Including former friends of mine, I guess. So if you want some real dirt, check out Vacuous Vocation, the latest episode. And then, what else? I'm hanging on to my voice by dear life because I have a legit cold, which sucks. But hopefully I got the Halls is gonna help me out here. All right, let's do it. Hey, what was it? Hey, ho ho. Wait. Hey, LBJ. How many kids have you killed today?
We'll get there. Oh, are you talking bars or are you talking campus?
Oh, you want to? I'm sorry, man. Do the beef.
You just started rhyming, so I didn't know.
I understand. Dead kids. I get it. Table that shit. Onto the rappers being mad at each other. Let's do that.
Even more important, Ben Llewellyn with the $5 super chat.
Llewellyn.
Found you from an interview in
Llewellyn or Llewellyn. It's probably Llewellyn, right? Isn't
Llewellyn?
it? It's not Llewellyn.
Yeah, Llewellyn.
Maybe it is.
I don't.
Llewellyn.
The double Y's make me think it's Spanish.
Maybe it is Llewellyn.
Yeah.
Yo. If it were that, it'd be like yo. I can't even do it. All right,
yeah.
Ben. We're sorry.
Ben says close. Found you from an interview with brilliant JF Martel. I realized you said positive things about Jimmy Dore. I quickly subscribed and I'm loving it so far.
Yeah. And Jimmy Dore will be at Icarus Fest, and he is selling seriously fast. So if you want to come see him on June 7th at Icarus Fest in New Jersey, go to IcarusFest.com right now. And Max Blumenthal is going to be performing and doing a Q&A with Jimmy as part of the VIP package for Friday night, which is we haven't even really let people know about that well enough. We'll be announcing that better next week, but once people find that out, that's going to be crazy because it's going to be like, I think 3-4 hours just with the two of them, basically. And for very good reason. They have a very intense fan base right now. Those two guys, Jimmy Dore and Max Blumenthal. So I want to let people know that, especially right now. Icarus Fest Friday night is going to be historic.
The whole Williams Center, following JF Martel, the whole Williams Center, the white paper for it was written by JF Martel. JF Martel is the whole
right.
big brain behind the Williams Center itself. And it's just an incredible, incredible place to host what we do.
Yeah. Williams Center is like my second home now. It kind of is. So yeah, and yes, JF is amazing and was a guest on Unregistered 6 months ago, 9 months ago, last year or something like that, a year ago.
Last February, I believe.
Oh gosh, okay, sorry, yeah. Which was it's so wonderful because we got to talk about art, and I never get to talk about art usually in a serious way. Really amazing. And we have differences, but I sure love the way he operates. And I like the way he thinks for sure. But Jeff's a great guy. Yeah, that's great. Okay. So
Alexander Lipchev says the VIP dinner is going to be awesome. That's right. We do have VIP tickets. And yeah, the VIP dinner was the best part about last year.
We got the Argentinian amazing chef. That was the best meal I've ever had again. So that'll be Friday night and maybe Saturday, but definitely Friday. Alejandro.
Yeah. To sit down with these journalists, like actually face to face with these journalists and your favorite
Michael
voices.
Right.
Like it happened and it was organic. It was really cool.
That was the highlight for me too. Yeah, VIP tickets, that there's still some left. But anyway, let's do the news, man.
Okay.
So tell me about the important stuff. So Kendrick Lamar called Drake a pedophile. Is this right?
Yeah.
What else? How did it start? Let's do the whole history. Give us like a 60-second rundown on the history.
Oh man,
this is all important world event.
This is like a 10-year soap opera accumulating in like. This is okay.
You better make it fast. Is what I'm saying.
It starts with the control verse. Okay, Kendrick Lamar calls out the entire industry by name. Drake is the only person who takes offense to it. Since then, they have been taking subliminal shots at each other for a decade. Just this last year, on Drake's new album, there's a song called First Person Shooter. He got J. Cole to be on. He invited Kendrick to be on. Kendrick was insulted that he was even asked. And all of First Person Shooter has subliminal disses at Kendrick.
But why? But why?
Because
did somebody fuck somebody's baby mama? Is that what's going on?
Drake has fucked everybody's baby mama.
Okay.
Drake, the entire rap industry hates Drake because he has fucked their wives. Drake has had sex with all of their wives, and that is why the entire music industry is pissed at him.
Drake isn't that sexy. No. No. I don't believe that. I don't believe it.
Okay.
You think that's what it's about? You think he had sex with Kendrick Lamar's wife or whatever?
No, not Kendrick Lamar's wife. Although in the rap beefs, he said, "I'll hit you up anytime" to Kendrick's fiance.
Sure, once they're fighting, but yeah.
I know. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, no. Can you tell us what's important about this?
Here's what's important.
Tell me why I should care.
This is basically a tribal war for the number one slot in the most influential cultural export there is.
True that.
And hundreds of millions of dollars are being spent to influence you one way or another. People with incredibly valuable contracts are putting their entire careers on the line and trying to destroy somebody else's career so somebody else can be the number one guy. This is going to be a preview of the tactics that are used in the 2024 election, and it shows you where technology and influence is right now.
And if you want to influence people, especially boys under the age of 20, that's the spot they're fighting for. Is the king of the teenage boy, right? Teenage boys, right there.
Yeah,
king of the boys. King of the boys is right there, and a lot of girls too. But right? White and black, by the way.
Yeah. There was a high school teacher saying that overnight the school used to only play Drake, and now they play Kendrick. Like overnight after this weekend, all the kids are bumping Kendrick in their headphones. All of them are putting up their phones and rapping to BL Drizzy. They're just freestyling during lunch and recess. It's a Kendrick world out there. Overnight.
I can't, man. Didn't I say this before? I'm with the dearly departed DMX, RIP, who said in an interview shortly before he passed, "I don't like anything about Drake. I don't like the way he looked. I don't like the way he sound. I like nothing about him. Nothing. There's nothing good about any of his music. It's just an offense to me to be talking about him, that I have to hear him, that I have to see him. I can't watch basketball without seeing that motherfucker, you know, and listening. I mean, it's so I am. And then for Kendrick, I don't feel that way about Kendrick. I think Kendrick is one of the, as I said before, one of the few talented, truly gifted rappers. Forget talent, skilled rappers. There's almost no skill in rap anymore. It's so sickening. But he's certainly one who has that. And you know, I'd say like 3 or 4 of his beats are pretty hot. Otherwise he seems like an idiot to me. I don't, you know, I'd give him like a C+ overall as a hip hop artist. So it's sad. I wish DMX were alive. You know, I wish I wish it were the 90s again. And believe me, they had their flaws for sure. Tupac really was kind of just a gangster dressing as a Maoist. But you know, there were others who I think told a pretty important story about what was going on in our society. And today we just don't have that. Kendrick, his only serious social commentary was just the BLM regurgitation in that one big song and video and Grammy. Remember that? His Grammy performance with the prisoners and
Yeah.
I mean, there's something to that, of course, but we found out that a lot of it is bullshit since then. Anyway, yeah, people are like, wait, you're supposed to be the pro-Palestinian guy. What's going on here? Pro-Palestinian and anti-BLM. What? That's right. You heard it. You heard it. You heard it right. It's the only rational position to take, given what we know. Yeah, that's an interesting. How many other people occupy those two positions?
Of cultural influence with Drake and Kendrick?
Yeah, anybody.
Yeah.
No, I was no, sorry, who are anti. I was veering quickly off of the fucking rappers. No. Is there anybody else who's anti-BLM and pro-Palestinian?
Anti-BLM and pro-Palestine.
That's my little niche right there. I think I'm the only one.
No, I mean that's all the white supremacists. That's like, you know, that's like Nick Fuentes.
Yeah, because even like even the dirtbag left was pretty sympathetic to BLM. Generally, not overall, but generally. Yeah, you're right. Wait, am I with the true anti-Semite?
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to foreign policy, I think they're the best. I think.
and finance also. You want the true anti-Semite?
No, I don't want anti-Semitism in finance.
To clean out the virus. Hello.
No.
Yes.
No. Jews are amazing at finance. They should be in charge of it.
To sweep the.
Who else is going to be? No.
Out of the banks? What?
No. Anti-Semitism has no place in finance. No.
Guys, listen. No. Look up the bankers. The top 20 or 50 bankers in, say, 1900 in the world. It's a lot of Jews, guys.
Yeah, look at the names on the contract. I'm just saying, being anti-Semitic is not a way to solve that problem, though. All they do is just provide a service for the Gentiles who signed the contract.
My book agent, David Kuhn, is I think grandson or great grandson of Abraham Kuhn, which I believe was the first bank in New York City. Massive. It was like one of the biggest banks in the world at the time. And I don't know what it is now, but it became one of the biggest. No, the Jews are all. It's just. I haven't even mentioned the Rothschilds.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think banking is a great service in and of itself. I think.
And check it out. Yeah. Check it out. So they get the banks by 1910. They got that shit on lockdown. Then just about 5 years after that, what do? They moved from New York to Hollywood, and they found Hollywood, and it becomes Jewwood. I mean, I know Jews in Hollywood. I've been related to Jews in Hollywood. I still am related to Jews in Hollywood. It's just true. They took over finance and media and entertainment. The only thing is they didn't do it in a conspiracy. That's the thing. I've seen zero evidence of these people. I've known many of them. High, big deals in finance and Hollywood. I've known them personally. They don't talk to each other. This is what they don't talk to each other. They really don't. Not about this. There's no conspiracy among the Jews. Now, there is definitely a conspiracy, a global conspiracy of fucking Zionists. Definitely. We got the ADL, you got AIPAC. I just can't fucking believe this shit. The tentacles, how deep they are. And I wasn't fully aware of them until I saw what went on in the last few weeks. Did you see Mike Johnson's speech?
That I want you to understand. I have seen nothing but Drake and Kendrick Lamar for the last week.
I'd even settle for the return of Tupac at this point with his gangster ass. I mean, criminal ass.
Drake brought him back in this beef. Drake brought Tupac back.
The Speaker of the House, sir. Do you care?
He used AI to rap in Tupac's voice and mock Kendrick from the grave.
Hey, Michael Weimer. How many kids have you killed today? All right. Just quick interjection on the Speaker of the House today or yesterday compared what happened on Columbia's campus to the Holocaust directly, with specific references to people being rounded up in cattle cars and sent off to Auschwitz, and the screams of the people in the ovens. And he was saying, this is what's going on at Columbia's campus. I was like, okay. That's a Zionist conspiracy right there. Because white boy from where is he? Louisiana, Texas. What do they care about Jews or Israel? They pay for this. Like, every word was written by them. It's incredible. He's the Speaker of the House of the United States of America. Holy smokes. Sorry, back to what do you want to talk about with rap music?
There's the ghost of Tupac that Drake used to mock Kendrick.
Mm-hmm.
First time AI has been used. We got a cease and desist. Long conversation about that. But so you've got people are asking, who do I have in this beef, Drake or Kendrick? And
neither. I gave my answer. That was I've already done this.
Yeah.
I said neither, because Drake is at best a C+ and Drake's an F.
Yeah.
And we should talk about the dead babies if you care.
2014, the Grammys. Who won the Grammy for Best Hip Hop Album that year? A lineup of Drake, Kendrick Lamar, Jay-Z, and Kanye West, now known as Ye.
I was going to say, I thought it was Ye.
Who won that year?
Also overrated. I don't
the
care.
GOAT, Macklemore.
Oh,
Macklemore, the GOAT.
He's bringing it back. He's bringing it back full circle. Man, I used to hate Macklemore. I wrote an article trashing him, and Reason. It's a great article. It's one of my favorites. 12 years ago, something like that. Everyone go look that up. I completely attack Macklemore and Lorde. That's when they both were hot. And they had those big singles and what they were doing was making fun of and denigrating Black culture. That's what those songs are all about. And no one noticed except for me. And so it's all very sort of puritanical stuff, what's it called? Thrift store, thrift shop. Mm-hmm. It's this sort of puritanical anti-Black shit. It's like, yeah, they spend money on fancy clothes. I mean, I forget the lyrics, but that's the story, right? They spend lots of money on fancy clothes, they being elliptically Black folk. And yet I'm real. I keep it real. I shop at the thrift store. Like, it's just from fucking Ben Franklin kind of old American Puritanism. It's incredible. So, but now I don't like Macklemore at all historically. B, I don't like political art historically. Really don't like political art. But C, this shit is so banging. I watched it 10 times. Go.
The GOAT. The GOAT.
It's
the winner
hot.
of the beef.
It's
winner
awesome.
of the beef.
And politically, it's pretty fucking powerful. He needs an apostrophe over Hines, but Jesus Christ, this one had me going.
Yeah. The people, they won't leave. What is threatening about divesting and want a piece? The problem isn't the protests, it's what they're protesting. It goes against what our country is funding. Block the barricade until Palestine is free. Block the barricade until Palestine is free. When I was 7, I learned a lesson from Cuban Eazy-E. What was it again? Oh yeah, fuck the police. Actors and badges protecting property in a system that was designed by white supremacy. But the people are in the streets. You could pay off meta, you can't.
Real quick, all this anti-white crap, we got a pro-BLM, essentially, eschatology in our pro-Palestinian rap.
I know, we got to extricate it, to use another academic term.
Okay.
We can keep playing?
Yeah.
Pay off me.
I want to get to the end here real quick.
It's not
because
it's not perfect.
Yeah,
but it's close. It's close to perfect.
Is about to cut the strings. You can ban TikTok, take us out the algorithm, but it's too late. We've seen the truth. We bear witness. Seen the rubble, the buildings, the mothers, and the children, and all the men.
It does remind me of like political rap that I used to listen to. It does remind me a little bit of Immortal Technique, in that it's relevant. Like it reminds me of Public Enemy and KRS because it actually is what's happening and it's relevant. Yeah.
90s. Remember Paris? Paris had
didn't get into him.
Black Panther dude. Mm-hmm. He had an amazing, what's it called? Something about the Panther. He has an amazing video. It's like this. But pause for a second. I need to say something.
Yeah. Sorry, give me a sec.
But this is unprecedented, though. Yeah, there have been great political rap videos and songs before, like we were just naming them. There's never been one about foreign policy. There's never been one about Palestine or Vietnam or Iraq or anything, really, I don't think. This is like a hit song that also is like a direct hit against U.S. foreign policy.
Mm-hmm.
And against Biden. Man, he has that great line where he says, "Fuck no, I'm not voting for you in the fall."
Yeah, that's what it climaxes with at the end.
It's a solid A-, with an A+ beat. I think whoever made that beat is the hero of the day, because that's what makes it so powerful. But yeah, wow, loved it. Gotta say, disclaimers about Macklemore in general and political arts in general, but this, what's not to like?
Have you heard the Ghetto Boys song with Bushwick Bill, "Fuck a War," about the first Iraq Gulf War? Yeah, that's
the greatest hip hop protest song of all time. Yeah. It's that is the most classic Renegade song, because it's not anti-war. That's what's great about it. It's like, it's anti, I'm going to participate in your war. It's like, I don't care about your war. It's a declaration of indifference to war, which is the best thing. That's what you want. That's even better than being a foreign policy analyst and making arguments for why some war is bad. To say I'm first, Uncle Sam isn't in my priorities. Thank you. Fuck a war.
I ain't getting my leg shot off while Bush's old ass is playing golf.
Right.
Yeah,
it's great. There's a great video, I think, too.
Yeah. So, like, yeah, Macklemore doesn't have that. Macklemore doesn't have, like, it's the worst shit lib ever who was protesting and who you disagreed with for the last decade. But it's exciting that, like, he's actually saying something important and relevant at this time, whereas hip hop has been a distraction for the masses for the last 10 years. Including Kendrick Lamar, who makes you think he's deep, but he just tells you to go to therapy and support the system.
It's the first intelligent, coherent political statement made by a rapper in 20 years. I don't know.
Well, a rapper of that scale. Macklemore, rapper of that scale. Yeah,
that's what I meant. Yes,
right. The underground's always had it, but yeah.
Sure, totally. Right. Yes. Yeah. There's always been everything in the underground. Like, all kind, whatever you want's in the underground. But no, I mean, like the chart toppers. Yeah. No, the Mike Johnson speech. People should check that up. Glenn Greenwald does a great takedown of it. It's just like you just listen and you're like, you can't be serious, man. I mean, if you've ever been on a college campus, you know this is just the biggest lie, the biggest fraud, the biggest moral panic and hoax in recent American history. And note what I just said, because we just had COVID. We just had the COVID hoaxes, multiple hoaxes. We just had multiple BLM hoaxes. Yeah, no, sorry, George Floyd was not killed by that asshole cop. And then the sex assault hoax on the campus, and the racism on campus hoax before that, or after that. And I mean, it's just been one after the other. But this one, boy, climate change hoax. Sorry, everyone's like, wait, you're pro-Palestinian and think climate change is a hoax too? Yep, weird. I'm threading a very fine needle politically. People must know this. I've never seen, and I have been constantly daily outraged at those frauds. That's kind of how I, in a way, came to be known, because of Joe Rogan. I was one of the very first professors to call out the bullshit about the sexual assault hysteria way back in 2013. And I've been pissed off ever since, seeing straight up fraud committed by the left. Yeah, I mean, to me, the left, since then, certainly, has been just nothing but a series of frauds. Climate change. The Ku Klux Klan is at Oberlin. 1 out of 3 women on college campuses are raped. Climate change is going to kill everybody if we don't revert to communism. It's amazing, but on this one, sorry, they're correct. And even to me, the hard left is correct, because that's the anti-Zionist piece of it. It's not just ceasefire people. It's the whole project is the problem. The whole project is the reason we are in this predicament. In fact, the early Zionists predicted this. They said this would happen. It was just a question of when, how long it would take, how bloody it would be. But they said, yeah, we're going to colonize this place. The locals are going to resist, because colonized people always resist. This is Theodore Herzl in the founding document of Zionism saying this. Jabotinsky said it too later, and said that's why we have to have an iron wall against these people, because they're going to resist, because everybody who's colonized resists. And it's going to be a perpetual war until they are ultimately pushed out or killed. That's what the Zionists said, who founded the damn country. Ben Gurion too. And then, like, as I've said before, the State Department said the same thing when the State of Israel was founded, and they asked the United States to recognize them. There was a debate, and lots of people in the White House and the State Department said, this is perpetual war because the people there will resist. The people there will resist. Just like the Americans resisted the colonizers, just like the Africans resisted the colonizers, just like everybody's resisted the colonizers. Not always in nice ways, often in really vicious, hideous ways. But every colonized nation has done hideous things to the colonizers. I can't think of one in which it didn't happen. What happened to the loyalists during the American Revolution? Tarred and feathered and hanged, houses burned down, children raped. Yeah. That's what the American independence fighters, freedom fighters did to the loyalists. Now you could say, well, it was the goddamn British who were dominating us, and to which I would say, correct, but then I'd also say not nearly as badly as the Israelis dominate the Palestinians for 75 years. But yeah, I'm sympathetic. I get it. This is why I would say, like, don't go live in that neighborhood. That's what I say to the colonizers. If you're going to take your children to that neighborhood where the people are hating you and that they have rational reasons to hate you. So they knew this. They predicted it when it started. And now here we are. And it's probably not even over. This is just like, it just keeps escalating gradually over time. each bombardment. It's been like 6 now, I think 7 of just Gaza in the last 15 years, something like that. And each one basically is larger than the last one. The last one was in 21, I think. That was 2,300 people because Hamas had fired some rockets. So, and yeah, Rafah, man, the tanks, the IDF rolled tanks up to the Rafah crossing on the outside to block it off. Kerem Shalom is the other crossing just to the east. That's blocked off too. Israeli base, they put a military base there to block it entirely. And then halfway up Gaza, they have this, what do they call it? The Netzarim corridor. They just built this whole big freeway that goes right across Gaza, bisecting it, which has, it's like a DMZ zone basically, which has tanks all lined all along it. So no one can get back to northern Gaza now. Truly, completely, totally blocked off, trapped. And half of, as far as I can tell, roughly half the Israeli political establishment wants to go in hard. There's 1.2 million people there in Rafah, which is the size of Newark, New Jersey, or Arlington, Virginia, encircled by a wall. And half the Israeli government, as I understand it, wants to go in fully hard. And the other half is trying to figure out something less provocative to the United States. They all want to kill, for sure, but like they're trying to keep the U.S. on board, which is of course crucial. And so they began limited incursions yesterday on the ground, I think it was, after bombarding from the air with American planes and American bombs, I think for 24 hours, killed a whole bunch of kids and women. And there's lots of great videos and pictures you can watch. And then they started doing a very limited incursion, I think, on the ground starting yesterday. And immediately after that, or right at the same time, Biden put a, quote, pause on arms shipments because, of course, he had been saying to them, don't go into Rafah. We're opposed to that. And so but now they're sort of denying that this was like punishing Israel for going into Rafah. This is going to be, because when I listen to Israeli spokespeople, and I've listened to many of them, they're unanimously saying Hamas is in Rafah. We have to go into Rafah. This is the final battle. It just happens to be a tight little city full of kids. Like, if Israel does anything like what they did in the north and in Khan Yunis, but they're probably going to do more, but if they do anything like that in Rafah, I mean, tens of thousands more dead, I guess. And the world movement against that fucking country, you think we're crazy now? I mean, if they go in fully into Rafah, I don't know how they survive as an ethno state for very long. I just don't. I think if Israel goes into Rafah with a full-scale military invasion, the way they went into the north, I don't think Israel will be an ethno state 10 years from now. Or will be engulfed in a war. I mean, it's their, I don't see, like, meaning a war on Israeli soil, because Hezbollah is right there. And what is it? I mean, I hear breakdowns of their military strength all the time, and it's like they have, what is it? How many thousands of rockets that can reach Tel Aviv? Thousands and thousands can reach Tel Aviv and Jerusalem easily. And like, Israelis acknowledge this. They don't hide it. They're like, yeah, Hezbollah's got these rockets that can do this. And then the Hezbollah says the same thing. And Iran says, everybody says, yes, Hezbollah can fucking wipe out Israel. Hezbollah can wipe out Israel. And that's just Hezbollah. There's also Iran. And we know that about a dozen of their missiles got through easily and hit that airbase in the south. And then there's Syria right there, and Israel basically launched the Syrian civil war to overthrow Assad. Do you think he wouldn't like to participate in an all-Arab, pan-Arab, in the third or fourth, however you count it, pan-Arab war against the Zionist state? This one, they lost the first three for sure in 48, 67, and 73. But this one, with the difference here is that everyone's on their side now. I mean, the majority of the world's population and even most of the governments, almost all the governments, would be essentially favorable to the Arab states in that war. Iran has been planning for that war for 20 years. They have bunkers underground all over the country. They have a vast missile system that we just saw demonstrated that can hit Israel. I mean, good luck, guys. Good luck, guys. I hope people leave. I don't think it'll happen today or tomorrow or even maybe next year, although it could happen even next year. But it's gonna happen. It seems to me inevitable at this point that there's going to be a pan-Arab war against the state of Israel again to, wipe it off the map. And the thing is, if they don't understand that, I'm talking about sort of the Israeli consciousness generally, and institute massive reforms, and of course they are on the opposite pole of doing that right now. I think if they instituted massive reforms, ended the occupation, withdrew the settlers, gave civil rights to Palestinians, I think they could avoid a war. I do. I really, really do. But that would be ending the Jewish state. That's what they say. They're correct. Of course they're correct. Full civil rights means no ethno-state. That's right. That's exactly right. So which side are you on? Are you on the side of full civil rights for everyone or an ethno-state? I just cannot believe that I have friends who are classical liberals, quote unquote, believe in love the Bill of Rights. So they love being Americans, love the Bill of Rights. And they choose the ethno-state in that equation. I'm like, okay, fine. No civil rights for those particular people over there because your ethno-state is so important to you. Because, this is what I want to get to the bottom of. Is it because the bars in Tel Aviv are that good? Like, really? It's these guys, it's people who've gone there. I heard Matt Welch. I heard him say on the Fifth Column podcast that he said, I didn't know much. He said, I didn't know anything. I didn't know anything about the Middle East until I went to Israel on a Israel government sponsored tour. And now he knows. Now he knows about Israel and the Middle East because of what he learned on his state-sponsored tour of Israel.
Hey, I didn't know nothing about Asia until I went to North Korea.
Right. And I found out that Noam Dworman went on the same trip. Nancy Rommelman went on the same trip. Coleman Hughes went on the same trip. All these people I know or know of went on state-sponsored tours of Israel, and we are supposed to trust them as what? Journalists in this regard? It's fine if you do that, but then let's just know that you're in the tank from the beginning. It blows me away. And no, I've had zero contact with Hamas. So please, if you want to say, oh, well, you're just parroting Hamas talking points. Like, no, I don't know. I don't even know what they've said. I mean, I've read the charters. That's about it. And I've heard like fragments of speeches. They've certainly never told me. I don't know. And half of their charters, I think, are terrible. And half of their speeches are terrible. And they impose Sharia law on Gaza that's vicious. And guess where I stand on that? I mean, It's not my country, so I don't take a position, but it's not my thing either. There's nothing about Hamas. It's just that it has anything to do with me. My analysis is, here's the thing. My analysis, like your analysis of this thing, is entirely independent of government propaganda. Like, we don't base what we see and think on what governments have said. And what I see 99% of the time on the pro-Israel side is simply passing down of rhetoric, discourse, propaganda, whatever you want to call it, that was originally produced either by the IDF, the Prime Minister's spokesperson's office in Jerusalem, or the ADL, or AIPAC, or the State Department. I mean, you're parroting what governments say. You're repeating what government, and now if it turns out that a government is correct about one, if there's some miracle and a government is completely correct about some controversial issue, fine, then let's go for that, but make an argument for why this government is actually amazingly correct about something. Concerning war, they always lie. Of course, we know this. But people who consider themselves classical liberals or libertarians, believing, presuming that what the Israel Defense Forces and the State Department of the United States say is correct, just blow me out of the fucking water. I don't get it. I don't get it. It's stunning. And then the racism. I have spent the last 15, I just talked about this, the last 15 plus years debunking claims of racism over and over and over. I can't remember the last time I saw an act of real racism in the United States against Black people that I thought was like legitimately racist, like unquestionably racist. It's very hard to find. There's liberal racism. That's a different species, which is that is what I critique. So there is a form of racism that permeates our culture, but that's the liberal racialism or racial liberalism, right? That's the doctrine of DEI and affirmative action and everything we see. No, but like good old fashioned scientific violent racism, segregationist racism, apartheid racism, like Jim Crow. No, that's gone. Like there's microscopic vestiges of it. Microscopic. 99.9% of Black people in this country never experienced that. They never experienced that kind of racism. But man, I cannot explain the pro-Israel supporters' positions without, you can't, they require racist assumptions to sustain those arguments. It ultimately boils down to which lives are more valuable. If you're disinterested, now, if you're Israeli and live in Israel, okay, fine, that's a different calculus. I sort of get that. Sure, of course, you can be killed in this thing. Absolutely. And I value my child more than anyone else's. But if you're a disinterested, if you live in New York City or just not in Israel or Palestine, right? And you don't have family there, which is most of us, then it's you want to make a decision as to which side to land on or support or not support, right? Then you do calculus, you do an equation, you figure, you're like, okay, which side? And what I've heard is a lot of people on the pro-Israel side is, well, they're the democratic society, they're the LGBTQ society, they're the liberal values society, which is highly debatable. I understand there's part of it that is liberal and democratic, but of course, obviously, it's a big fat ethno state that acts like a fascist state to maintain its ethnocracy. But there's 695 civilians dead on one side, and that's a confirmed number. And on the other side, yes, there's a debate about the number, but it's somewhere in the tens of thousands. And there's no debating that more than 10,000 of those are children. I think there were 5 or 10 kids on the Israeli side versus 10 to 15,000 children. How many elementary schools is that? How many kids are in an elementary school? 100, 200? Think about like killing every kid in, what is that, 100 elementary schools or something? Like, so, okay. So if you don't live in Israel, you're not from Israel, you have no connection to our Palestine, just on this alone, right? You look at as you like to think, okay, it's a battle over land, which it is. It's a battle over land. You don't have to even think about who's right in that, but which side do I want to support, or which, like, and you look and you're like, okay, so one lost 700 civilians, 10 children, and the other is losing about 30,000 to 40, somewhere between 30 and 40,000 civilians, and somewhere between 10 and 15 or 20,000 children. And you say, well, the one that has only lost 700 civilians should get the land and continue its war to get the land. It requires racism. You have to devalue Palestinian life. I mean, there's no doubt that they feel way less about 1,000 Palestinian dead kids than they do 700 Israeli adults. There's no doubt that they do. They just weigh one side much heavier than the other. And it's sort of amazing that, like, this is a lot of like Gentiles who live in, the Midwest or something, who have like no experience with Jews, but somehow, because Jews are coded as white now, I guess. And of course, the anti-Islamic shit that permeates our culture still. It's incredible. It's truly awesome. I've been watching. I underestimated it. I was a little naive. I didn't know quite the power. I mean, AIPAC had never flexed its muscles like this before. They got thousands of people arrested for protesting against Israel. I mean, that's impressive. That is impressive. Almost every campus sent in the cops like that. After climate change, protesters were wilding out for years, blocking roads, blocking freeways, blocking campuses, doing encampments on campuses all over the country. We've all seen them. Terrible, horrible, like blocking bridges. And the cops are called out, if at all, very reluctantly. And we didn't see anything like this violence. But in this case, these little dinky college students who couldn't hurt a fly because they're such a bunch of goobers, you have to, the riot cops get called out, and they're shooting rubber bullets at them in UCLA. And they're carted off in paddy wagons and the whole 9 yards, macing them. And a cop, I just found this out today, at Columbia, fired his gun inside Hamilton Hall during that incursion. I used to teach in that fucking building. A cop fired his gun in there. The NYPD admits it. And we know that professor at Columbia works for the Israeli government and the NYPD as their liaison. I spent all of last show mispronouncing her name. And it's very clear. I mean, it's the Zionist conspiracy. AIPAC has all these politicians in their pocket and called the dogs out. Said, you've got to call the dogs out. And if you don't, we're going to call you a bunch of anti-Semites. And we'll stop funding you. It's incredible. It's not a Jewish conspiracy. Jews are good people. Jews are good people. This is a Zionist conspiracy.
October 23rd, 2023.
Fuck.
Artists release artistsforceasefire.org, a petition calling for a ceasefire, immediate ceasefire. There's a lot of names you'll find on that list. You'll find Macklemore on that list. You will find Brian Eno, Brian Cox, Run the Jewels. You will find Drake. You will not find Kendrick Lamar on that list.
I didn't know about RTJ and Mike. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not surprised, but that's great that Mike did that.
You will see Drake on that list. You will not see Kendrick Lamar on that list.
Oh, I see. Okay, I'm Team Drake.
Yeah.
I take back what I said.
Drake is a Jewish anti-Zionist.
Oh, wow, right.
Yeah.
Well, he's not. We're not necessarily an anti-Zionist. Let's not.
He's
get too
calling
far.
for a ceasefire. He has friends in his camp that are anti-Zionist. Yeah. He's at least
No.
pro-peace. Yeah. Okay.
Fine, which is great.
Yeah.
That's great, but like that's different.
Yeah.
That's the liberal half.
It's
of
the very least
movement.
you could do. It's the very least you could do.
Yeah, that's all I ask of people.
Yeah.
Right now. Yeah, I don't ask that you be being an anti-Zionist requires like a lot of reading, a lot of researching. You got to really do a lot of researching before you can be an anti-Zionist of any kind in a serious way, because you got to know a lot. It's a complex thing, but that's interesting.
Your woke rapper, your rapper who is the face of BLM, the face of the streets, the face of everything. He's the smartest. He's your hip hop savior. Kendrick Lamar could not be bothered to do an anti-ceasefire, to do a ceasefire petition.
Wow. And then there's what's his face, who's actually Palestinian. Producer, what's his name? Miami guy.
Oh yeah, DJ Khaled.
Khaled, yeah.
Yeah.
Hasn't said a word. Not a word. That's crazy to me.
So
if you're a billionaire, like what?
Hip hop is street knowledge. Most important thing happening in the world is Israel Palestine. Macklemore, the white liberal, is the only one who makes a track about it. A bunch of other artists do a ceasefire petition. The leader, the vanguard, the supposed vanguard of Black America, Kendrick Lamar now, who I believe dethroned Drake on this beef. You can't come back when every club is banging Not Like Us, and you've got the worst accusations banging at every sporting arena and every club. Your reputation is gone, and you can't work with corporations anymore when you do that. That guy, Kendrick Lamar, who wrote freaking 4 songs overnight, couldn't be bothered to do a simple petition with all of his peers for a ceasefire.
Yeah. Well, what I see is something I realize has happened, which is the severing of ties between the Black left and hip hop. The Black left had serious inroads into hip hop in the 90s. And that's why some of the people we mentioned, like Public Enemy, even maybe NWA, but I mean, they were, they were shouting out Kwame Ture and of course Farrakhan.
Farrakhan's a prophet that I think you ought to listen to. Like
my guy Paris. I mean, he was a scholar of the Black Panthers. And these guys had hits too. So the black left had a real voice. But once, I guess, hip hop, I don't know the causes, but they don't fuck with each other anymore.
Mm-hmm. Ever since Obama got in office, Obama has totally co-opted all of Black culture to support the empire now.
Yeah. So I'm just trying to think of why that happened exactly, but it did happen. And so these rappers are kind of they have no mentors, which is kind of a good thing, right? I think they're just, and that's just kind of probably why they sort of babble in incoherent ways for the most part. No one's teaching them anything, is my guess. But that's also good in that they're free. So I'll say that. But it also means they're politically unsophisticated, politically uninterested, which again is not always a bad thing. In fact, it's generally a good thing. But sometimes, if I were one of these guys, I would say something. I would say something about certain things, and this would be one of the things, especially Khaled. I mean, that's incredible. That's amazing. That's almost collaborationist level. I've never heard of a Palestinian who, well, I shouldn't say that. I've never heard of a Palestinian in the diaspora like that. Every Palestinian I've known or known of who's in the diaspora, Palestinian American, man, they're all hardcore. I mean, hardcore political. Don't give a fuck. It's incredible. That he doesn't say anything about this. But my voice is on the rocks, man. I might have to end this early. What else do we have?
Rafah, did you get it? Well, you
I
pretty
did
much covered Rafah. Yeah.
Mike Johnson.
Yeah. Nicholas Fuentes is back on X, which is like the last voice, the biggest and last voice to be uncensored by Elon Musk. And he's the youngest voice. And he has a very strong contingency of the youth that listen to him. And it seems like this is a strong line in the stand for free speech that Elon Musk is on.
I'll say it again. Nick Fuentes is a smart guy.
Mm-hmm.
He and I would have a good conversation. In fact, he would. I wonder if he'd come on my show. I would understand him from the other side in ways that no one else would. He's a very smart kid and has some pretty powerful critiques too.
Mm-hmm.
He just overestimates the Jewish conspiracy.
Well, he has incredible comedic timing. He's really comedically talented, I think.
Yeah.
And a great broadcaster, like in the lines of Rush Limbaugh, in the lines of the GOATs.
Well, but he's a radical, unlike Rush. He's a true radical.
True radical, yeah.
Yeah, he's a right-wing radical. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Which I admire just on its own. It's great that someone has that position. It's interesting. It's a different point of view. I want to hear about it. And it's intelligent. And it's well presented.
And he's not afraid to be laughed at, which kind of makes him invincible, which is why I think he goes so hard on the Jewish conspiracy thing, is that he's not afraid to be below resentment and at the bottom of the barrel.
Oh, what's with the last name?
Oh, Fuentes? Yeah, he's Spanish. He's got Spanish.
He's white Spanish?
Yeah, white Spanish, yeah.
Okay.
Which is why he's so Catholic, too.
Huh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, interesting. Well, should we wrap? I'm not sure I can continue.
Okay.
Unless there's another topic, I can push through if there's one more topic.
I was wondering if Not Like Us is going to be used in the streets for protests, and then if that's going to backfire.
What's that again?
Kendrick Lamar's biggest hit
the beef
in the club. Yeah, the big hit, the big dance hit.
Yeah.
So during Black Lives Matter protests, protesters chanted, "We gonna be all right. We gonna be all right." Now that there's a big protest movement on an election year, are people going to be out in the streets chanting "Not Like Us" against their opposition, whoever that may be? And could that be used to incriminate them as tribal and hostile?
I'm now just thinking about how you've convinced me that the outcome of this hip hop beef could determine the fate of geopolitics. Mm-hmm. Like, that's not a joke.
No, Drake is hedonism. Drake is hedonism, and let's live and let live. Let's have peace and have fun.
There's
Kendrick
no
Lamar,
question.
I want to join the empire and rule.
There's no question that the top rapper in the United States, whoever that is, has the ear, not just of the younger generation either, has the ear of probably half of all American adults in some way. Like, we're going to hear what he has to say, is my point. And much of the youth likes to parrot what rappers say. It's not a good thing necessarily, but they just do. So this is a massive thing. I hadn't even thought, if I were AIPAC and the IDF spokesperson's office, I'd be investing a lot of money in Kendrick's beef.
Yeah.
Helping, like, I'd be calling Drake an anti-Semite.
Mm-hmm.
Dredging up he's a self-hating black Jew. I don't know.
Yeah.
Right? Because no, you're right, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're right. If Drake he's not very loud about it though. He signed the petition. But if he becomes louder, which he probably will be if they keep killing kids, everybody's going to get louder and louder and louder the more kids they kill. Every day you can see it. Every single day there's more people saying stuff, including totally establishment. I mean, the establishment's like cut in half now. Half the establishment is totally for a ceasefire. But yeah, so, and if someone gets a hold of Drake and kind of like gets him based on it, he could actually do some educating. I don't know. He could,
especially as a Jew himself who has like the ear of every Jewish youth. Like everybody wants to be Drake. Like, imagine being a Jewish kid and Drake is like dominating the hip hop world.
Right.
Can do whatever he wants, gets all the girls, gets all the money.
Drake, come on, man, do it.
Can say whatever he wants to say.
Go hang out with Norm Finkelstein. We should work that out. We should work out some kind of meetup between Norm and Drake.
Mm-hmm.
That will do it. That's the end of Israel right there.
Yeah.
Get those two Jews together, Israel's done.
And in terms of lyrics, this is like the best that hip hop has been for lyrics in a decade. Like, these are two lyricists going to battle over who has the better pen. I think in this battle,
I wish I liked Drake better as a rapper, but
listen to Family Matters. Listen to Family Matters.
Aesthetically, DMX was right. Politically, I'm down with Drake. Dude, I gotta go.
Okay.
I just can't do it anymore.
All right. You're gonna tap out?
Yeah. Sorry, everybody.
No after show?
And I can't do the after show either. I announced it already. There's no Unregistered Live tonight.
Yeah, sorry about that.
But you should still become a patron of the show, so put that up anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And you can come next week if you join up as a patron for an extremely low price. Become a patron of the show, and you can join us next week and thereafter. We do Unregistered Live. We hang out in a Zoom meeting room after every Unreported on Thursday night, and it's super fun. So become a patron right now. Hook us up, help us out, keep us going, keep my voice going. This cold, it's just a cold. It'll be gone next week. I'll be good. I promise. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Michael.
Yeah,
thank you, Drake. Thank you, Macklemore. Thank you to all the good Jews, which is most of them. Peace.
Cool. Peace. Yeah, feel better.
Bye. Thank you, man.
Bye.